As long as
Just talking to your microphone. It's not that hard.
You know what, man? You know what?
I'm just gonna
No,
talk
Bailey.
over here.
No, Bailey.
All right, yeah. Please let my dog down. She's.
Okay.
We love you,
Yeah,
Bay
you
Bear.
go. Come on. Okay.
She's part cat somehow. Okay, yeah. But what were you saying quickly about comics?
Oh,
Just real quickly.
I was gonna completely crap on him. Like one
What
of
are you
the
not
biggest
liking that
things.
they're doing?
Oh, one of the biggest things I hate about Marvel Comics right now is that they have like, yes, you're correct. DC is very inconsistent in the sense that they have like
They reboot like every 5 years.
just about. But DC is very inconsistent with their stories and how they have so many different writers at a time.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna counter argue you with that because the thing is that DC in terms of comic book quality has not changed as in versus of Marvel.
Marvel goes up and down way too much.
Marvel is literally just like literally hit the crapper because they're modifying their comic book universe and continuity behind the MCU because how much ground the MCU has gained,
and it's showing how bad that is.
It's just a terrible idea, and it's legit just showing.
But here's the thing though, DC might be consistent, but that plateau is very stagnant versus Marvel. Its highs are so much better.
That's fine. You can be. That's fine. I'd rather you be consistent. I'd rather be consistent all across the board
than have the really like the really high highs.
The really high highs and the really low lows.
Yeah.
I'd rather be consistent straight across the board, and that's the problem with Marvel right now. They're at a really low in terms of their in terms of their comic book quality.
Yeah.
That it just makes DC seem so much better, but. It's only because Marvel beats them out in almost everything else is because what DC gets crapped on for. True. Because they have better Marvel has better movies.
Which
Marvel
by the way, after Endgame, I'll be surprised if they do anything
after Spider-Man
really good. They're probably going to make consistently good movies, but nothing like fantastic.
Yeah, no.
Unless it's like super artsy.
Once again, I'm okay with that. Yeah. If they give me nothing but Shazam like movies. I'll be perfectly content.
Yeah.
And they don't and like I was telling Frank, they don't necessarily have to do this whole lighthearted trend of like lighthearted comedy. You could put a whole bunch of dark comedy in Batman, and I guarantee you people will laugh.
Well, that's his villains, but yeah. Anyway, hi guys, welcome to the Blue Eclipse podcast. I'm Frank Joseph Hall.
I'm Tyler Spence.
And I'm Darius Crosley.
We just wanted to get that out of Darius real quick. He just wanted to.
I wanted to go on a little rant really quick.
And you did. Good job. All right, so how are you guys? It's been a while since we last talked.
Yeah.
The joke is that we just started recording again, right away. Oh my gosh. So you guys, either of you have a topic?
Actually,
you want to talk about that thing that we were going to talk about?
Do you want to talk about that thing? Well, I mean,
what thing were you going to talk about?
Hate speech.
Oh no, that criticism.
No, I was gonna.
Again, it's criticism and hate bandwagoning, but that's.
Oh, canceled culture, stuff like that.
Which
I thought that was what we were
no, my next topic, since we're still, since we were talking about Avengers, I was going to talk about what you guys think, and we're going to talk about strictly in the MCU, the movies. Which Avenger is the most well written / characterized?
Oh, that's tough.
Out of the movies. Now I know that this is very easier. It's a little easier, yeah. Because
hi, welcome to Marvel Month Part 2. This is clearly May.
This is just
but I guess this is what we're doing now. That's fine.
We were talking about it with Endgame and everything else, and I just figured, I'm interested in what.
For it.
Okay, so in the MCU. So first of all, we have to acknowledge it's probably one of the first Phase 1 Avengers because they've had the most movies and therefore the most time to grow as characters.
That is fair.
Correct.
Yes.
So like Black Panther, I feel like he's going to become a much better character the more movies he gets. Same with Doctor Strange. A lot of these characters, like Doctor Strange, he was fine in his movie. He had some arcs.
He was really good in
Infinity War was fantastic. Like his constant good. Hey Tony, I'm going to go after your ego because you need someone to peg you in the face was fantastic. So what were you?
I was gonna say it's a tie between Bruce and Cap.
Interesting, not Iron Man. Why are you leaving Tony out of this? Because he does have a significant arc
between Bruce and Cap.
Yes, Hulk. I would agree. Hulk is up there. I would agree. Hulk is one of the better written characters. Once Mark Ruffalo shows up.
Wait, are we talking like Go ahead and read it. Just to make sure my brain.
Can you please reread the prompt?
That just
just
in terms of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right?
Which Avenger is the most well written and characterized?
Yeah, again, I would put Hulk in there.
Well written and characterized.
I would definitely put Hulk in there. 100%, one of the tops.
Yes, I'll extend it to Iron Man.
Would you put Black Widow in there?
No.
Because I think
absolutely not.
Iron Man 2, she's kind of lame.
Absolutely not.
I think the problem,
Iron Man 2, she's
absolutely
lame.
Not.
But I think Winter Soldier though. But Winter Soldier.
I think
but Bucky could potentially go in there, but no.
Oh no, I'm not saying the Winter Soldier. I'm saying Black Widow in Winter Soldier.
Oh, sure, her in Winter Soldier? Still no.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Absolutely I think the problem is she hasn't had a solo movie.
Not even
also wants to see.
No.
I'm not going to say who doesn't want to see a Black Widow solo movie.
Oh well, actually,
here's the thing.
Coming out at some point. So yeah.
Here's the thing though. It's not even because she doesn't have a solo movie. Because Hulk, we've already established that they've already established that Hulk isn't getting a solo movie. But they still find the time to give him well written.
Yeah, well, like his thing in Ragnarok was fantastic.
Okay, but so are we just basing that off of Ragnarok?
No,
we didn't even really see.
We're not
Bruce.
basing this
1 and 2. He was also in Avengers 1 and 2.
Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. He was great too because it breaks down the whole. It's one of the things about it's easy and it's hard to make a well written Hulk.
Yeah,
and a well written Bruce and it's even harder to do Bruce Banner. It's even harder to do Bruce Banner because Bruce Banner is either always depicted as either being only useful for his brain or being a very scrawny and scared person because he doesn't want to turn back into the Hulk.
I would argue that he was characterized that at least in the first Avengers.
Actually, no. In the first Avengers, I really liked him.
That's when they established it. That's when they established that Bruce was not. That even though he was more than that, even though Bruce was just a scientist, and even though we're acknowledging that Bruce is weak. Bruce actually is someone that is actually capable of thinking for himself. That was one of the
I would never argue that he couldn't.
The big issue. Let me see if I can explain it. The big issue is that it's either a hey, scientist number 5, can you tell us this gobbledygook that we need to know? Thanks, Bruce. Or it's a Bruce is utterly useless. Let's use Hulk. That's usually how he can be interpreted.
Yeah.
In the movies, especially in Avengers 1, what's really cool is like, especially the scene where he's like, by the way, I've tried killing myself and then I shot a bullet in my mouth and the other dude spit it out. It shows this like this great just fear he has in the Hulk. And like this, like he hates the fact that this is a part of his duality of his existence, that he knows the temptation he has, that if he ever goes into the Hulk, like destruction's coming its way. And that's a prevalent thing throughout. And it like in Thor Ragnarok, you see that where he's like, I'm scared that I'll turn into the Hulk and that's going to be who I am. It's more of a understanding that it's like he knows there's a horrible part of himself and he doesn't want to manifest that, but sometimes he has to. And you see that at the end of Avengers 1 where he's like, this is what's going to happen.
And here's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go even a little further and say that probably the worst written Bruce Banner I've seen in these MCU movies so far is in the MCU continuity.
Yeah,
we're not going to count Edward Norton. Okay, Edward Norton doesn't count in this. I'm talking about Mark Ruffalo as Mark Ruffalo. I think the worst written Hulk he has been so far was Thor Ragnarok.
Interesting. Why?
Because you literally just broke down his entire entire character standing. Like he regressed right back to
he hates the Hulk. Yeah,
he regressed right back to what he hated the most. Well, the reason that the Avengers 1 and Avengers 2 was so good,
and Infinity War, where he has this mutual understanding of the Hulk, and he's like, hey, it's time to come out, and the Hulk's like, nah. And the directors have said it's not because he's scared of Thanos, it was because he was just didn't want to put up with Banner's crap. Like it was this idea of like, you only call me out to fight. I'm not gonna do that.
And it's not an interesting character. And the thing is you have the reason he's been such a good character and why he's actually at the top of my list is because we've basically taken the whole I'm scared and the whole I'm scared outlook and the I'm only used for a good scientist, we put the both of them together. We blurred the line out, and now we have a form of a form of acceptance, and not only acceptance, but he's established that he's not afraid of the Hulk, and he's not afraid to use the power of the Hulk.
Yeah,
when it's necessary. So that's why he's the most well written.
One of the most well written.
The reason now I do think he's at the top of my list. I
do think what for me makes it undermined is the fact that he hasn't had a solo movie, but the fact that they have such good characterization with him is interesting. And the fact that he hasn't had his own solo movie since the first one. But we don't even count that one.
Once again,
it's funny because that is actually in the trailer, but they don't use any footage from it. Just the title, like The Incredible Hulk, is in there when they're cycling through all the movies. But
yeah, because what they do is really smart. They don't just make a generic looking Hulk. The Hulk actually looks like the actor. Like when I see the new Hulk, I see Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
which is
everyone agrees on that. Yeah.
Now going on to my next list.
So really, you would put him at the top?
I would put him at the top. Going next.
Okay, hold on. No, stop your list. Who's at the top of yours?
It's probably bias.
Iron Man
has had. Yeah. So here's the thing. I would make the argument that these movies are about Iron Man.
Overall,
yeah,
I can agree with that.
It starts with him. He helps put together the Avengers. He's the one who tries to convince the Avengers to stay together. And obviously, what happens is Coulson dies, and that's ultimately what puts them together.
It's Iron Man and his sidekicks. That's what the Avengers have always been.
No, about. I mean, it's just like how Superman's like the lead.
But we're not talking. Remember, we're not talking about comics here. We're talking about strictly MCU.
I think the fact that like my biggest problem with Iron Man and why I might not put him at the top is his inconsistency through the movies. He learns a lesson and then it's gone the next movie. So like the first one is the only one that's true. It's like he learns that his selfish ambitions aren't going to help him, that he actually has to better the world rather than just profit. And like, that's who he becomes. But then like the second one, it's confusing. I mean, the second one's the worst MCU movie, I would argue.
I forget what even happened.
Exactly.
Worst MCU? Out of all of them?
Yeah, it's real bad.
No, it's more, the second one, I'd argue the second one was... It's
definitely at the bottom of the list.
Well, I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm just saying
the second one's a garbage movie, but the second one, I think
the third one, it's like, so he's learning not to be as egotistical. Like he has PTSD, but like they never really address the PTSD any other time in the movies. He doesn't even really get over his PTSD. In the third one, he has to come to terms with like, oh, maybe this is like what I need to grow. It's like there's so many issues.
He doesn't have any more anxiety attacks either.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues where it's like, oh, so that whole point in Iron Man 3 was useless. Like he gets the reactor taken out of him, but then in Infinity War he has a new, basically reactor.
Yeah, and Potts even
she comments
points
on
that
it.
out.
Yeah, and so I think him in the first Iron Man and the Avengers, it shows his characterization well, but the problem is Iron Man 2 and 3 kind of break it too much.
I would argue that Potts pointing out the reactor thing and him having another reactor, I think that's good.
I think that's good. Yes, I agree. And I think that because Iron Man,
I think it's like a safety net for him.
In Avengers 2, Avengers 2, like it feeds off of Avengers 2, because Avengers 2, the whole reason he makes Ultron is because he has this idea that he wants to protect everybody and he takes it too far. And because he's brash and too quick to do things, he doesn't sometimes think things through, and thus when Ultron's created, it's a problem, and it was one he didn't solve correctly. So then he tries to fix it by doing the same thing again, the issue being that he's being rushed rather than that he's solving the issue, if that makes sense. And that feeds into
is him doing it again. Is that Vision?
That's Vision. Ends up being Vision, but yes.
It ends up being Vision.
Which is, I would argue, a happy accident.
Yeah, it legit was a happy accident. If it was not for Thor,
Iron Man, if Iron Man 1 and Avengers are him Iron Man 1 is him learning that he needs to be a superhero. Avengers 1 is learning he needs to have friends. Avengers 2 is him learning that he needs to. Well, he doesn't learn much in Avengers 2, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people really learn much from Avengers 2 because it feels like Age of Ultron was more of a setup for Civil War than it was people actually learning things.
Civil War, it's this great thing of like his side in it is that he wants to protect people and he feels as though the Accords are what's going to do that.
Yeah.
And so like he's pushed to this, but ultimately his emotions, just like how in everything else, get the better of him. And again, I think he's a great character. The problem is too often that character is broken for one movie and then it's never established,
which is why
in Infinity War it makes sense. Like he's scared of wanting to be a father, so that makes sense that the ultimate villain he has to fight is Thanos, who is a father to people. And like
and not only that, but he also loses what essentially is like his surrogate son when Parker
and which is such a good so good. Him in Iron Man Homecoming also makes sense. He wants to protect Peter and he feels as though the suit's going to do it, but if the suit is the only reason Peter is endangering himself, he's going to take that away. And it's a very it's so good.
Now, if I remember correctly, we also got into an argument about you saying that it's Tony's fault that Peter died, and I
no. I was saying from Tony's standpoint, he's going to think it's his fault.
Oh yes, yeah,
because he's the one who brought him on. He became a superhero in the first place. Yeah. Then he became an Avenger.
Okay,
and then he is on that planet with Tony because inadvertently Tony gave him this idea that he needs to keep being better than himself.
Right.
And so
I would say,
I'm not saying it is Tony's fault. I'm saying from Tony's point of view, it is going to be. And that makes him a much more interesting character.
Me and you had, so that argument was nothing then. Cause I thought you were saying that,
it is. No, it's not.
Yeah. Because I was like, he would have died anyway, because it's
random. Yes.
It's random.
But from Tony's point of view, it feels like it's his fault. Yeah. Like he's like, and the fact that he had to experience that is more hurtful. But again, I think the biggest issue with Tony is the fact that his movies counterbalance constantly, and I think that's the only reason he's not a well-written character throughout the MCU, but he's up there.
He's chaotic good.
Okay, so
yes, but I'm saying the inconsistency. It's like with comics where it's like it's an inconsistency in the writing. The second one, he gets an alcohol problem that's never established again.
To be fair, I haven't seen Winter Soldier. I haven't seen the first Avenger, so I haven't seen a lot of the Captain America movies. So what changes does he go through aside from coming from the 40s?
In the first one, it's the fact it's establishing his character of he's willing to help anyone no matter what. He wants to fight bullies. I hate the way they phrase it, but that's ultimately what it is.
And not only that, you see his whole transition to, you see how very strong his morals and standards are.
What's nice is that his body changes, but he as a person does not, and that's what proves that he was worthy of the serum in the first place.
Right.
So the whole point of the first movie is just to establish his character, which it does really well.
It does.
Avengers, unfortunately, I feel like the writers didn't know how to write him well enough.
Right. They didn't. They just.
So he's just kind of the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you get to Winter Soldier, and it's beautiful because his natural progression is, well, okay, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s protecting people. Let me join S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And he grows up in the ranks, does stuff for them, only to find out that they're corrupted by Hydra. And he slowly is like, okay, that the point of Winter Soldier is for him to understand, one, it's him on his morals again. He's like, hey, freedom is more important than security. And this security thing is scary. You're basically taking away people's freedom. It's a fantastic movie, really good metaphor of freedom versus security. And the fact that it came out when the NSA leaks of them spying on us using our phones was announced was really good timing. So his natural, not distrust of the government, but of people in position, knowing that they have goals and they have twisted morality to get what they want done, leads into Civil War, where they're like, here's these accords. And he's like, but people have agendas. No matter who they are, they have their own personal agendas. And that's the problem.
Does Cap ever acknowledge that he has his own agenda?
Cap, that's the thing. Cap has the same. Cap is a character that is very linear in the sense where he's a lawful good character. I think we can all establish that Cap is a lawful good character.
Yeah, for sure.
So Cap is being lawful good is essentially like playing a paladin. He's taking the serum. He's basically, the serum is essentially his oath as a paladin to always help those in need. So that's why he feels. But I think
that doesn't mean that he still doesn't have issues. I do think his biggest problem is he is too stubborn sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is needed in some situations, but in other situations it can be a flaw for sure. Like the fact that he's not willing to rectify the Accords fully because he is so stubborn on this idea that hey, people are like, what was it? The scene where it's him and Iron Man in the room and they're actually both agreeing with each other. He's like, yes, accountability is important. And Iron Man's like, you know what? The Accords are written horribly and we need to amend them. Yeah. Like that scene is beautiful because it shows both characters are admitting they're also not totally correct on this situation. And then ultimately what happens is Tony slips up and basically calls Wanda a human weapon of mass destruction.
Which, I mean, she is.
But from Iron Man's basically looking at her from the destructive power she could show, and Cap is looking at her as a person who has feelings and should be treated as such. And that's where the disconnect happens. And it's, again, fantastic scene. My favorite movie.
So actually, I'm curious because I haven't seen all the movies and I don't remember this clearly. Does Cap feel that same way about Bruce? Or does he look at he looks at Bruce as a person?
He trusts Bruce for sure.
So I think that's one of the greatest things about Captain America as his character.
I think you really see that. You see that in First Avengers where he's like, "Hey Hulk, smash." He's like, "I trust that you have enough self-control. You're going to destroy the things that need to be destroyed and not much more." And in Avengers 2, I think it also shows it too because he talks to Bruce like he's a person. Like he cares about Bruce as a person.
And that's one of the
Infinity War shows it too, where he's like, "Hey Bruce, we're just still friends. We still care about you, even though you and Natasha broke up," which people have feelings about the fact that Bruce and Black Widow were in a relationship, but that's another story.
Did they even? I had no problem with that.
So people,
did they even tangent? I'd actually argue I'm a little more salty about it.
So quick tangent.
Or you could answer my question: did they even officially break up, or was it because Hulk vamped away for however long?
It's implied.
With Thor?
Yeah. So it's possible they might have filmed some more and just cut it for Infinity War, but it's implied that like during the time Natasha was basically underground and Hulk was away, she had time to think and be like, "Hey, it's not going to work out." Especially since their relationship is established in Avengers 2, and you can kind of see seeds of them going to be slowly breaking up anyway. Yeah. They both have this moment of, hey, neither of us can have kids. Some people hated that, by the way, that Black Widow was like, I can't have kids, which that's so stupid. Any person who would be able to normally have kids and has that right taken away from them without really their consent would be pissed about that no matter how strong of a character they are. They're going to be mad and upset that they don't have a choice that they can have kids. Yeah. So I hate people who say that that's a stupid flaw.
I won't say that's a stupid flaw. I would say I'd actually say that's actually.
I love that.
I'd actually say that's actually really good writing on their part.
Yeah, me too.
And the way she says it so.
Well, I can't either. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's tough.
No, not even that. The way she says it with no hesitation. There it is. The way she says it with no hesitation lets you. I think that's more. I don't think that's more of an emotional standpoint because when people are getting mad from an emotional standpoint, you have to also remember what kind of background the actual character itself is. She is a child soldier in a grown body.
Yeah, so it makes sense that she's going to be upset at the fact that a choice was taken away from her. Which is why I think she is actually an interesting character in the MCU. But they just don't give her enough interesting things to do.
No,
and that leads into why Hulk is also a relevant character because that relationship between them, even though people are like, that came out of nowhere, and some people call Black Widow a whore because, I thought she was with Hawkeye. I thought she was with Captain America. Now she's with Hulk, which is people, because in the first Avengers, it's implied that her and Hawkeye are a thing.
So you know what that is, right? Is that's like the audience for these types of movies and for those comics. Yeah, like
they're like weeps.
No, it's literally like the manosphere. It's dudes basically being like, what? No,
women and men can't have relationships that aren't sexual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which it's established in Avengers 2 that she and Hawkeye are just really good friends.
So once again, weebs.
Yeah. Weebs hold a better standing than that.
I also argue that in Winter Soldier, that Natasha and Steve's relationship is not sexual at all.
I haven't seen Winter Soldier, so I can't comment on that. But I'm assuming.
So there's a funny scene where they're on the run and like they're in the mall because they have to do some stuff, and she's like, "Kiss me." He's like, "What?" It's like people feel uncomfortable during public displays of affection. He's like, "Yeah, they do."
He's like, "Yeah, they do,"
and it's great because you could see like the awkwardness. He's like, Listen, I don't like you like that." And what's funny is the whole movie she's trying to set him up with another girl. There's another fantastic line when they're on the rooftop and she's like, "What about that one girl from from accounting?" He's like, "With the lip ring? I'm not ready for that." It's great. I love that banter.
So
But no, I think Cap is the most linear and the one whose movies. Now that's the fact that the Russo brothers did Winter Soldier, then Civil War, and then Infinity War, and now Endgame. I think that helps.
I think that helps a lot.
He does feel a little out of character when it's Avengers 1 and 2 a little bit.
But once again, I have to, and I think that once again is why I don't trust the Russo brothers. They basically turned the character that we all know and love. I'm not sure if you and I hate to bring up the comics that you say you didn't like outside of comics and stuff like that.
It's just because I have zero context for the comics. That's why I brought up just MCU. So you can bring up comics if you explain it to me, but we will. We're talking.
We only have a few minutes left, so
So one of the I think the Russo brothers basically took this specific scene from Civil War. It was right after Spider-Man defected right over to Cap's side, and Spider-Man was asking.
Spider-Man unmasks himself as Peter Parker to join the Superhuman Registration Act. A bunch of villains go after his family, so he's like, "Oh shoot, I made a mistake." Joins Cap's side.
So Peter was asking Cap, "How does he do it? Like, how does he go against an entire country knowing that he's wrong, knowing that he's wrong and everything like that?" And then Cap just had like this whole spiel speech. Like, I can't.
Oh, like it's you plant yourself like a tree. Yeah, that's in Civil War. It's in the movie, and I told him about that. He's like, "Why is this chick giving this speech to Steve?" I'm like, "Because it's from the comics. Remember when they're at the funeral, and then she comes up and she's like, my aunt always told me you got to plant yourself like a tree. And when people say you move, you say no, you move. But
if you go in the comic books and you actually
it's a
read
good
that,
speech.
it is a really good speech, and I think they took that entire speech and they saw, and because when you read that entire speech, you basically get a feeling for everything that Captain America is about, like his entire
his morals,
like his entire characterization, his morals, like everything you need to know about this man is in this speech, literally.
That's really
and
good.
I think the Russo brothers legit took this speech and were like,
that's the character.
Let's flip it upside down and let's challenge these morals and see what happens.
Which I argue that's also how you make a good Superman anything.
That's legit.
That's why the Superman versus the Elite is one of the best comics and movies ever.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah,
like so
legit, like Man of Steel. That's the reason Man of Steel was so good.
It could have, and it's just the implication of it.
Man of Steel could have been even better
if they established his morals.
Right. If they had established his morals from the get go.
I like the idea that he's like in that situation where it's like, in order to stop Zod from killing people, he has to kill Zod. I like that idea. He just doesn't. It's not implemented well.
Yeah, it's not.
But cool. DC Universe stuff aside. Sorry. Is Cap at the top of your list?
I think because unfortunately Thor's had too much in like up and down, and really they didn't get his character right until Ragnarok.
Yeah, they didn't.
But since then it's been fantastic.
Oh, absolutely, it's been great.
So I think we have to wait a little bit more to know if that's a good characterization for. Because Thor was just, I'm a Shakespearean person.
So when did Russo brothers take over?
They did Winter Soldier.
They did Winter Soldier. Then they were like, all right, we'll give you Civil War. And after Civil War, they were like,
okay, so Joss Whedon's out. You want to do the Avengers movies? And then now they did Infinity War, and now they're doing Endgame.
Yeah.
Okay, so who did Ragnarok?
That was Taika Waititi. Okay. And basically they're like, you know what?
He was also Korg.
Let's keep him Korg.
Yeah, Korg.
He's the Rock dude.
Korg did the movie, which is
but basically they're like,
hello, I'm Korg.
Let's just keep, because like the Russos were really smart in that they're like, you know what, actors, we trust that you're playing these characters well. Like they did that with the Black Panther cast. They're like, you guys just got off of doing this movie. We trust that you're gonna knock it out of the park. So we're gonna tell you like ultimately this and that, but your interactions and all that.
Is that why people were talking about why a lot of was it Infinity War? One of the Marvel movies was a lot of improv.
Yeah, that was Ragnarok.
That was Ragnarok?
Yeah. Supposedly 80% of the script is improv. Which I wonder how much that is true, because there's some layered jokes in there.
No, it's funny talking about that, because I remember I was watching. This is totally off tangent. This won't take a very long moment to describe. But I was watching a video series describing defenses / what's like the breaking down of the 50 Shades of Grey series of movies. So aside from whether the quality of those movies are bad or not, which the second two are bad, but the first one you could actually make an argument is actually kind of good. So, but the interesting thing is that the directors that took over for the second and third movie were mainly TV directors,
which is the Russo brothers.
when the thing that TV directors are really good at is if they only, like, for example, someone comes in and they're filming episodes 2, 8, and 11 of a series, they actually leave a lot of the work up to the actors. Yes. To be the characters, because they know that they're just stepping into the directorial part. Yes, exactly.
I agree with that. So and that's probably why the Russo brothers have done so well.
That's what I was going to say, is I think once they figured out the characterization for the characters, the Russo brothers were just like, all right, just be that character. You guys have been playing them for however long now.
You can tell too, because like Cap, a lot of people's problem with Cap is that he's too goody-goody. And these movies, he still has his morals and he still stands for them. But there is this layer of like grit that's behind it.
Yeah, he's turned from the
golly gee, guys, we need to stop these bad guys.
Ready. I got you. I got you.
All right.
He turned from what Wolverine would call a Boy Scout to an actual I
hate that criticism, by the way, of him and Superman. Stupid. Continue.
Of them being Boy Scouts.
So stupid. Continue.
He went from being a Boy Scout to essentially a grizzled veteran, almost like I agree with that. For our D&D campaign, like the Ernos dude that we were getting ready to kill.
Oh yeah, Arnost.
Yeah, he was like
you were getting ready to kill. Is that what you just said?
We were getting ready to kill.
Oh boy, you would have lost that battle. 15th level.
We had him chained.
Oh no, that's Nathaniel Knox.
So Cap.
Yeah. Okay. I would probably put Cap up there just because the consistency throughout the movies is strong, and he still goes through character arcs. What was it? Matt Colville brought up a good point. Just because a character doesn't change doesn't mean it's badly written. Frodo never changes throughout all of Lord of the Rings. That doesn't mean he's a bad character.
Yeah.
So I would say Hulk is up there for sure. I think the most surprising is Hulk, but Cap is also up there for sure.
I know my list legit goes
real quick.
My list goes Hulk, Cap, Iron Man.
I could agree. I would switch Cap and Hulk, but I would agree with that. And again, the only reason Iron Man is third is because of the inconsistency through movies. Outside of that,
because there's nothing.
He's still a good character.
Nothing like really stick to. And I'm gonna make the argument. The reason he's on my list is because he's essentially like at his very core value.
Yeah.
Tony is a human being.
Yes, he is.
Tony's like the. Out of between, like he's the most human. I would argue he's the most human out of both Banner and Cap. Cap is once again a lawful good character.
Yeah, Cap is like the best person we can think of. Like this is the best moral being we can have.
Right. This is like the best person you could have, and then
Iron Man is just a dude.
Hulk is very disconnected, and I think the reason that he's so good and the reason he's not such a great written character is because he's doing very human-like things.
Yeah.
And, I have PTSD. Sorry guys, I don't have PTSD anymore. I'm sorry.
It's a little inconsistent.
It was a phase. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, but you could say that's a very human thing that people do, and you can say that as part
of
that.
We're agreeing with that, but I would argue that's more of us giving merit rather than intent. It wasn't their intent that he would then no longer have PTSD. It was more of just that's what happened.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. Like,
and we're like justifying it. So
that's me. That's me. L-bending.
And again, I think the only reason you have Cap as such a well-written character is because for the most part, aside from 1 to 3 movies, it's the same people writing for him, and so they're gonna know how to write the character consistently. So that's the only thing I have. We're not saying Iron Man's a bad character.
Honestly,
you were.
Okay. Honestly, we should just.
I'm not even thinking about.
Honestly,
we've already reached our time, and I didn't even get to start my list. So.
I'm sorry. Go.
No,
sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I asked you the question, so.
All right, that's fine. Okay. Well, just give your list. You don't have to go into detail. Just give your list. Go ahead.
Do it for the culture.
The trailer came out.
Do it.
It was okay. It was an okay trailer.
Do it.
Interesting. Here we go.
I'm not gonna do my list.
All right, that's fine.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want Tyler to do his list,
I need to be more informed.
That's fair.
I need to see all the Cap movies, and I need to see.
Well, if only we had someone who had those DVDs. Anyway, I love you, Tyler. It's time. Thank you for joining us on this.
It's time.
This Blue Eclipse podcast.
This wonderful podcast.
We are super excited, and we hope that you guys continue to watch as they whisper into the mics. I'm Frank Joseph Hall.
Never gonna let you down.
That's Darius. So here's what's nice is that they're both off key enough that we're not going to get copyrighted. So that's Darius.
Desert you.
My name's Tyler Spence.
Yeah.
I'm Darius Crossley, guys.
And that's going to be it.
All right, guys. Later. Podcast is over.
Never going to make you cry.
Ever again.